it started out with a fairly comprehensive kind of a diagnostic of Canada's economic growth outlook, and came to the conclusion, like many others, that what helped us to grow in the past is likely not going to be as helpful in the future. Growing population, greater participation in the workforce. Of course, like many other advanced economies, we are facing pressure because of an aging demographic, the shift of trade towards Asia, and of course, technological disruption that is touching pretty much every sector of the economy. What was somewhat surprising, certainly to me, is that if you look across those advanced economies, Canada potentially faces the largest GDP decline because our aging demographic has been on such a steady downward trajectory. Our so-called dependency ratio, the number of working Canadians in that prime working period of 15 to 65 per senior, per post-65 senior, has declined from a ratio of about 6.6 in the early 70s to about 4.2 by 2012. And if we don't do anything, by 2030 we will have 2 working adults per senior. And of course that puts tremendous pressure on our, not just our economy, but also on our public services. And that is also why immigration is such a hot topic in Canada. In February last year, we released the second set of recommendations, and they focused very much on a comprehensive view of levers for innovation, including the creation of sort of marketplaces in targeted sectors. That's manifested itself in a supercluster program, growth of risk capital for high growth ventures, modernizing procurement, and revamping our innovation programs. As part of that second wave, the Council recommended the creation of a Future Skills Lab, which would be an independent, arm's-length organization that could essentially become a test bed for the future of skills. And Council made a recommendation that we need a skills plan for working Canadians, which essentially would open up a broad-based conversation about how are we going to tackle this, engage all the actors in the system, because it will take a big collective effort of not just federal and provincial governments, but private sector employers, training and skilling organizations, the post-secondary system, and in particular, engage Canadians in being proactive in managing their learning journals. It also recognizes that we will need to rethink all of our training programs to make them much more agile, much more current and relevant to the skills needs of today, and streamline the access to those programs. The task that certainly is front and center for the Council is how do we jumpstart a much more ambitious national conversation and build the coalition that we need between the feds and the provinces and territories, between the public and private sector, between big companies and SMEs, engage citizens to raise awareness of the urgency of this issue